The ABO blood types were actually discovered in 1900 by Dr. Karl Landsteiner. He was actually awarded the Nobel Prize for this work in 1930. He was asking a pretty fundamental question, which was why some patients died as a result of blood transfusions and other people were saved. I think that's a really good question. It took a while to figure out the blood type story because the ABO blood type is not inherited in Mendelian fashion. So if you know about Mendel and the basic ideas of dominant and recessive traits, that does not apply to the ABO system. It is an example of codominance, and in a little bit we're going to see why. But it is genetic. It's like your eye color and your hair color and other traits. So you do inherit it from your parents. In order to understand blood type, antigens, and antibodies, which are not easy, I'm going to talk about donuts and sprinkles for this analogy. And hopefully it will help and also hopefully not make you too hungry. So here's the idea. These are the options that we have for donuts. Some individuals have donuts that have sprinkles on the top that we're going to call A. Some people, different people, have donuts that have sprinkles that we're going to call B, right? So you can imagine on the surface of the donuts, we're going to have these different types of sprinkles. Now, other people, they're going to be a little bit, they like it all. They're going to have A and B sprinkles. And then finally, the last group of people, your last option for donut coverings, is a plain donut. So you're not going to have any sprinkles. I know, it's sad. But, some people have to suffer more than others. These are obviously the ABO phenotypes. Okay, the phenotype is the trait that you express. So if you have A sprinkles, I think it's pretty obvious you're going to be blood type A. If you have B sprinkles, you're going to be type B. If you are A and B, we're going to call you AB. And here's the one that people get a little bit confused. If you don't have any sprinkles, we call you type O. It does not mean that there are O sprinkles, okay? In biology, we use the O to mean the absence of something. Okay, so what it really looks like, of course, is that on the surface of your blood cell membranes, you're going to have these options. The A sprinkle people, you're going to have these particular structures. So these are antigens, these are proteins that the body can recognize. And if you get antigens into your body that you do not already have, you make antibodies against them. Okay, that's the idea. So here are the A sprinkle people, here are the B sprinkle people. These are people with both A and B, and these are the plain donuts type O. All right, so how all this plays out, we're going to be looking at the different phenotypes for ABO that are possible and what's going to happen when you mix each of these four phenotypes with the other blood types. Okay, so we're going to start with blood type O, and we're going to see what happens. First of all, the genotype, this column, this is what your genes say. So we use two lowercase i's to represent the type O phenotype. We'll come back to this column in a second. If you take an O person and you mix them or transfuse them, you give them O blood, everything's cool, right? No problem, that is their blood type. However, if you give an O person a transfusion of A blood, the A antigens, or those A sprinkles, they're foreign to the O person. So you're going to get anti-A antibodies. That's what this means. The O person will release antibodies against the A sprinkles because they're foreign, and the blood will clump. Similarly, if you give an O person B blood, the B sprinkles or the B antigens are foreign, and the O person will make anti-B antibodies against them. So this column represents the antibodies in the blood of the different phenotypes here. An O person has both because both A and B are foreign to the O person. If you give an O person AB blood, boy, talk about a double whammy, right? So the A is foreign, the B is also foreign, and the blood's going to clump like crazy. Next, we have the A blood type. Now, there are two ways you can be A genetically. You can be A if both of your parents gave you the information to make A sprinkles, that is, you're homozygous for A. You can also be heterozygous for A, where one parent gave you the information to make A sprinkles, and the other parent didn't give you anything. You just get a lowercase I, meaning it's a placeholder. It doesn't encode any information for A or B. You can give an A person O blood, and the reason is you're not giving any foreign antigens. That's the key. So an A person can get O blood because you're not getting anything foreign. So it's all good. The A person can, of course, get A blood because that's their blood type, but B is going to introduce a foreign antigen, right? The B is foreign, so the A person will make anti-B antibodies and the blood will clump. Same problem if you give an A person AB blood. The A is okay, but the B is still there. The B is still foreign and the blood will clump. Hopefully you're starting to get the idea of how this works now. Here's a B person. A B person can be B. Okay, I gotta say it. To be B or not to be B? That's the question. Sorry, it's bad. You can be homozygous for B if both parents gave you the information to make B antigens. Or you can be heterozygous for B, just like the A person. But for the B person, of course, A is foreign. You can still give a B person type O blood because there's nothing foreign, so it's still good. But A is now foreign, so the A will clump. B is okay, and AB, again, is not okay because of the A. Finally, last, we have AB blood. This is really why you see that ABO blood types are an example of codominance. If you have A from one parent and B from another parent, it's not like one is dominant over the other, right? You express both. That's why we call it codominance. The AB person doesn't have any antibodies for A or B in the blood because they've got it all. You can give an AB person O blood. You can give an AB person A blood. They've already got A. You can give an AB person B blood because they've got B. And of course, you can give an AB person AB blood. It's their blood type. So by going through this chart, I think it's pretty easy to see, okay, it's not easy, but hopefully it's a little bit more clear why certain transfusions are allowable and others are not. And you can also see why the O blood type is the universal donor. The O can donate to everybody, and AB is the universal recipient. They can get blood from everybody. So obviously you can see why the O people are much more desirable, and you get a lot more calls from the blood bank than an AB person. Okay, so we've talked about the A antigens you can have, the B antigens you can have. What we haven't spoken about yet is the plus or the minus that follows your A or B or AB or O blood type. So we're going to talk about RH, which by the way was named for the rhesus monkey, and it was actually discovered several decades after the ABO antigens, around the 1940s. And the good news is RH is inherited in Mendelian fashion, so it's going to be a lot easier, and if you have a basic understanding of genetics, it's going to make a lot more sense. So your options are these. If you have both parents that are homozygous dominant for RH, all of the offspring will have RH antigens. If you have one parent that is heterozygous, then half of their offspring you would expect to carry to be heterozygous for RH. So they would have one positive and one negative, but all of these individuals would be RH positive. When you have two parents that are both heterozygous, now you have a 25% chance of having an RH negative child. That's kind of the surprise right there because the parents might freak out. They both test positive for RH, but if they're both heterozygous, there's a 25% chance that they can have an RH negative child. And of course, if both parents are RH negative, then all children will be RH negative. So the only people who express the Rh negative phenotype, that is to say they do not have the Rh antigen, you have to be homozygous recessive. So here's another way of looking at it. Of course, there's all four of those as well. Another way of looking at it, these are the options. If the mother is Rh positive or negative, the father is Rh positive or negative, and so forth. So you can see what options are possible. When this becomes a medical issue is this scenario. If you have a woman who's Rh negative and her partner is Rh positive, this can happen. she can conceive an Rh positive child. And the interesting thing about this is that even though the fetus will be developing Rh antigens on its red blood cells, the mother will not, immunologically speaking, of course, will not see those antigens until usually birth when the blood mixes. And the reason for that is because the mother's antibodies cross in only one direction from her body to the fetus. And if her body has never seen the Rh antigen before, she will not produce antibodies against it. So everything is okay usually for the gestation of this fetus. Usually what will happen is during birth, if you've ever seen a birth, it's kind of a messy process, and the blood will mix, and the mother's body will be exposed for the first time, interestingly enough, to the Rh antigen, and she will become sensitized, right? That's what these little pluses are. She will make antibodies against the Rh antigen. Up until this point, everybody's fine. The mother is fine, although she is now sensitized for Rh, and the baby is fine. The problem comes with subsequent pregnancies. So if this woman conceives another Rh positive child, now, just like before, but her antibodies will flow across the placenta to the fetus. But unlike before, she now makes antibodies against the Rh antigen that her fetus will produce. And that will have devastating consequences. Now, in modern developed nations, this is no longer a problem, and it actually takes one injection to block these antibodies, so they don't have the opportunity to attack the fetal blood cells. But if you do travel to developing nations, you will see a lot of cases where you'll have a woman who had a perfectly normal child, her first pregnancy, but if subsequent pregnancies she gets miscarriages, this kind of scenario is often the culprit. So there's the example of when Rh does become a medical issue. And historically, actually, this is where the blood tests were required for marriage. By the way, that's still true in some countries and even some states.